Hey guys, Terry here, and I have something pretty exciting to talk to you guys about. I recently saw a news story on shockmansion.com about a company called Terrafugia that's developing a flying car. So you know the flying car stories tend to crop up a couple times a year, but this one I'm actually pretty interested in. Now, I'm not able to talk about the scientific end of it or the feasibility, things like that. I want to talk about why I think this is viable and why I think it's so cool that we're finally going to get a flying car. So first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about why this one interests me versus all the other flying car stories I've seen over the years. So first of all, this company, Terrafugia, they have already created a flying car of sorts. Basically what they've made is a plane whose wings fold up and it's able to drive on the road legally, and then you could like park it in a garage, and pilots can just park their planes just in their garage at home, which is handier for a lot of pilots. But on top of that, like what this tells me that they've developed something like this is that this is where they want their products to be made. Like they want to make flying cars. And in the past, it seems like flying cars have been developed by either eccentrics or like car companies that are more interested in making cars than making things that fly. So I actually have a lot of faith that Terrafugia will come through and actually give us a flying car. It may not be anytime soon, but it could be in a couple of years. And it's not that far off in the long run. And I feel like this may be one of the few technological advances that won't get hindered by lobbyists. Because whenever you stop and think about the fact that the electric car was killed because it would hinder the oil industry, this flying car, it will be the opposite of that. It will still require some sort of fuel. It'd be great if it was electric, but chances are it will be on some sort of fossil fuel to begin with, which means it'll only sell more oil in the long run, which means that the lobbyists will be happy to see it. I know a lot of people are probably concerned about safety because, the idea of people without pilot's license behind the wheel of a car that is also flying, it's a little terrifying. But listening to the video, which I will post a link to in the description down below, so check that out. It sounds like they have their bases covered. It sounds like we'll be relatively safe in the air. And they said that it's going to have a range of 500 miles and a speed of 200 miles per hour. That is insane. I've never been able to get in my car and travel 200 miles in an hour. Think of how much that will revolutionize travel, like way more than any other technological advance we've had so far. And this is like an individual thing. Admittedly, when it comes to fuel and whatnot, it is a little terrifying because it'll almost be like everyone owns a private jet. But I think that it will just bring the world closer overall. Like we'll be able to get a lot further, a lot faster, and it'll make distance seem like it's not so far. We were promised this a long time ago. Whenever I watch Back to the Future, and then Doc Brown says, where we're going, we don't need roads, and then the car flies up and takes off, like I just, I wanted that. And I watched the Jetsons growing up and things like that, and by the way, Back to the Future, they came to this year. So we should have had flying cars and hoverboards and even Jaws 3D, which isn't a thing for some reason by now. So I feel like we're sort of owed a flying car. Like this is a promise that was made to us a long time ago. And it's not until very recently that it looks like it's even slightly viable. But now it kind of makes sense because it does kind of feel like we're living in the future in a lot of ways. People are able to go to school online and be able to earn a degree without ever actually meeting any teachers or fellow students, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. We're able to sign and send and receive documents without ever actually touching paper. Amazon is prototyping a tiny helicopter that can fly to somebody's house and deliver a package in 30 minutes, which is just ridiculous, but come on now. Microsoft has developed gaming systems that allow us to control our TVs with nothing but our hands and our voice. Bookstores are almost a thing of the past because people will read their books on tablets and e-readers instead of physical books, which is something that I wouldn't have thought would have happened 10 years ago. Not to mention there are people doing what I'm doing right now, making a video just to put online, and people make careers out of doing this, which is just crazy. So yeah, I think that we live in the future, and I think that flying cars aren't that far away, and I think that Terrafugia might be the company that will make it happen. Now, I know that we have a ways to go before this will be something that we can regularly purchase just at a car lot. I mean, we have to build an infrastructure before we can even have flying cars. You know, like we don't even have, you know, places to charge electric cars at most gas stations. So we'll have to have a lot more of things like landing pads or areas for these flying cars to go. But you know, it looks like it is a thing that will happen in the not so distant future. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this, what you think about the possibility of a flying car, or if there's any technological advancement that you would like to see in the very near future that I've not mentioned. And obviously, if you enjoyed the video, you should like it. If you'd like to see more videos like this or any other video of me talking, you should click the subscribe button. I post videos every Wednesday and Friday, so you'll get content from me pretty regularly if you subscribe. Last Wednesday, I talked about my favorite Christmas episodes of television shows, so if you'd like to check that out, click on the corner over there, and I'll have a link for you. But that's it for now. I'll see you next time. About one of my favorite holiday traditions. I admit that this is a little bit weird, and I'm not sure if anybody else really does this, but basically, every holiday that I'm really in love with, what I do to celebrate it is I go on to Netflix and Hulu and I look up holiday episodes of my favorite television